watch out for is the interest rate, which has gone up in the last year, and also how many new housing is starting, right? Because it's all, at the end of the day, it's supply and demand. And look at the tech layoffs. Last year, over 150,000 were laid off. And this year, we're only, 13 days in? Like John said, 23,000, over 23,000 have been laid off. So, think about the impact and what that might potentially create in terms of opportunities for you. And then let's look at the foreclosure data. So this is our proprietary information, our proprietary data. We have 3 years that we are sharing here. The light green is 2021, and the darker green, we have 3 states basically. And kind of start looking at the trend here in 2021 because of the pandemic and forbearance, moratorium, and all these policies. We're actually having a record low in terms of foreclosure filings. Typically, we would be looking at, in the state of Texas, about 4,000 or 5,000 every month. And we have a really sharp drop back in 2020, 2021. In 2022, you see the second shade here, this green. We're seeing a bigger increase, kind of a rebound, starting a rebound of foreclosure filings, kind of back to the almost 3,000 per month level, getting close. And this year, in January, we are seeing kind of continued trend. So we're kind of also expecting that foreclosures are going to start taking back up. We're not at the pre-pandemic level yet, so we'll continue to monitor this and see when that's going to come up and bounce back. It's been 3 years, so we're kind of excited to see this trend happen. So now, I think I pass the mic back to Anne, or introduce our next speaker.
Okay, thank you, Steve. All right. So after this, because Steve's supposed to have like 15 minutes, but do you have any questions so far? We can do like 1 question or 2 questions before we move to the next one. Otherwise, we can have question and panelist discussion. Okay, so the next thing is before we get into this, let me ask you, who's in here new in real estate investment?
What?
New. Okay, you new. Have you got your first deal yet?
No, I'm still working on it.
I have done several deals like this.
Okay, who already got your first deal? Can you raise your hand? Or have you already did deal before? Okay, yeah, Dominic, because the next topic we talk about like deal finding and deal funding. Would you like to share your experience with your first deal? Yeah, you can come on the stage and just share your experience with everyone.
With my first deal?
Yeah, how you find your first deal and
Hi, Dominic. So I'm in the Houston market, metro, hour in any direction in Houston. So with my first deal, I hired cold callers to call on the data that Real Estate IQ provides me with. And it takes a while to get good at negotiating with people and learn communication skills with them. But once you figure it out, after making 15 or 20 offers a while back, ended up getting my first deal. It was out in Texas City. It was a house that, it was a probate property, and it was really messy inside. Their motivation was that there was a ton of fleas inside. They didn't want to go in the house. So I went inside, took pictures, had to brush the fleas off, and then found an investor on Facebook Marketplace and ended up wholesaling it. So that was my first deal with Real Estate IQ way back then.
you might ask what was your profit out of that deal?
Sure. I can't remember off the top. I think I bought it for $120 and ended up selling it for $145. So
Oh wow,
25K.
25K.
Yeah.
In how many days?
So how long did it take me to
how
close?
long did it take you to close? Yes.
So from the day we got it under contract, closing was I think about
Any lesson learned, like you want to share with people, like just one key takeaway.
Well, when you're calling on the leads with Real Estate IQ, the number one thing to focus on is motivation. Why are they motivated? And finding a way that you can help provide a solution for that motivation. That's definitely the key. That would be my one takeaway.
Okay. Thank you, Dominic.
Yeah.
Please give him a round of applause. We can take one more person to share. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes. You want to come over here? Yes, so people can see you better.
Hello everyone, my name is Hugo. I think I started using Real Estate IQ April last year. My first deal was actually a foreclosure deal, and this was in July. It was in White Rock, Texas, so back then I used to live in Dallas. And I think the man, well, he used to be a pastor, got into a bad situation. His tenant hasn't been paying rent for a year, so he was living for free. So he wanted to sell the house. So I negotiated, and basically I don't remember how much it was, but the deal was a little bit kind of difficult because he had an ex-wife that ended up sort of being on the title. So initially when we were flowing, everything was good. The lender was a private lender and said the only way he was gonna pull it out from the auction, because I had 3 days, was to basically do a deed in lieu of title. So we did that, and then after he pulled it out, we realized that he actually went and registered it. So everything had to be done again. So this deal ended up taking probably 2-3 months. I had a partner, but we still persevered, and we ended up closing. So that was my first foreclosure deal, I would say. I learned a lot. I think with foreclosure deals, you have to have a lot of patience and just be ready for sort of things that you don't expect to sort of come in on the deal. But eventually, I think if you stay true to it, you probably pull through and think about it as really helping them out of a bad situation. That's kind of how I did it. It wasn't necessarily the money per se. I think it was in a really bad situation. I kept pushing because I just think that if I closed it, I'd be able to sort of help them. So since then, I've just been, calling. I think the last quarter has been a little more difficult, so I'm looking for just ideas on how to deal with this changing market.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
May I know your name?
Hugo.
Hugo. So Hugo,
Yes.
I have one question. So if you can do something different, right, for your first day, what is that? The one thing.
I think it would be nice to sort of ask more questions, probably to have as many facts as I can. I think that deal I didn't have all the facts, and I didn't know the right people, because the lawyer that I had probably wasn't the best one, probably didn't communicate, you shouldn't register that. So I think it's nice to sort of have your power team and make sure that they're very experienced and communication is very straightforward in a sense, because that could complicate the deal.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
How
you.
many deals you want to do in 2023?
I'm hoping at least 15.
Okay,
That's-
okay. Thank you so much. God bless your business. All right. Thank you, Dominic. Thank you, Hugo. And we're gonna move to the next. Vincent, can you? The next topic. All right. So next topic I'm gonna bring up is on the funding. And the speaker I would like to introduce is our partner, like Becky and Kevin, they're sitting over there. They have been working with, RIQ for long, since the very beginning, when we founded the company, right? They has been, with us in business development and everything, and it's our pleasure to help them here with us to, deliver the topic about, private lending and funding. So Becky, yes, is that what you want, Becky?
Thank you very much. How are y'all doing today?
Great.
Wonderful, awesome. I love the energy here today, especially from John, right? Doesn't he bring energy when he walks in the room? All right. So yeah, I'm here to talk about getting funding for your deals. So the first thing you have to do, that's always the most difficult, is finding the deal, right? finding the deal and getting it, but then once you get it, you gotta make sure you can fund it. And so there's a couple ways to do that, right? You could use your own money. How many of you have used your own money on a real estate deal before? Okay? That's how a lot of people start off. Okay? You can use your own money. Or you can borrow money from somebody else. Right? The old OPM, other people's money thing. So hard money is kind of what you call what they do and what we do. It's mostly called hard money, and I'll explain more about that in a minute. So first of all, I'm not giving you legal, tax, or accounting advice. Don't sue me for anything I say. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what hard money is, why you want to use it, what the process is like for you to get a loan of that kind. So first of all, sort of a little fun fact, hard money loans did not exist prior to the housing crash of 2008, 2009. Because before that, you could get a loan from a bank for a property. And so that's what investors did. However, after that crash, they tightened all the regulations. Dodd-Frank came into play and tightened things up more. And normal loans just didn't make sense for real estate investors. So I don't know who was the first smart lender that figured out there's got to be a different way to do these kind of loans for investors. So that's how hard money started. So officially, hard money is an asset-based loan. So if you go to get a loan for a property, usually the bank asks you for what? Tax forms, right? Income. They're going to figure your debt to income ratio, and if that doesn't work, they're not going to give you the loan. Hard money loans are not based on your income whatsoever. Ask what your credit card bills are. It's based mostly on the asset. Now, is the borrower important? Do we care about you? Yes. Because we don't want to loan money to somebody who's not going to pay us back, right? But mostly, and it's for a shorter term, usually a rehab loan or what's called a bridge loan, which is just another name for a short-term loan, because that's a bridge from this short-term loan that you get to the longer-term loan that you're going to use for your business, like a rental property or a commercial property. So why use it? Okay, one, it gives you money when you don't have it. So if you don't have the money to do a deal, this still lets you do it. More importantly, real estate is a numbers game, right? Every part of it is. Marketing is a numbers game, making offers is a numbers game. The more you do, the more you're going to make. The most important thing is leverage, and I'll explain that a little bit. Again, that's just leveraging other people's money. And the other thing is that the lenders in this space are mostly real estate investors themselves, or at least the founders of the companies are, both hers and ours. Founders are investors, and so we know what investors need, and that's what we cater to. So fast. How long does it take you to get a conventional loan from a bank? Yeah, the average is like 45 days, sometimes a month maybe, 45 days, sometimes longer. Hard money loans are usually 2 to 3 weeks. You can get them in, sometimes sooner. I've seen loans close in just a few days when they really have to, and all the pieces are in place. And the third one is flexibility, or actually, the second one, approval. We'll fund properties and people that other lenders won't. People that haven't filed their taxes in 4 years, we don't care, we'll still lend to you. If it's a property that looks like it's about ready to fall in, most banks will lend on that. We will. And 3, flexibility, even the best laid plans. Most rehab loans, all of them actually, come with a limited time. So usually you have 6 to 12 months to get the property fixed up and sell it. But if something goes wrong, you can get an extension. Not all normal bank loans will do that for you. Here's the biggest reason though, and I'm sorry those numbers are kind of small. I don't know if you can see them, but here's a scenario. You buy a house for $100,000, it needs $50,000 rehab, and when it's done you can sell it for $250,000. Okay, just that's sort of the basic scenario here. So if you can't see those numbers, this is if you're using your own cash, this is if you're using a loan. So the difference is you're both, here's the down payment, okay? If you're buying it cash, you're putting the whole $100,000 into it. If you're taking out a hard money loan, it's gonna be, you're gonna have to put 80 to 90, you'll get 80 to 90%, so you'll have to put usually 10 to 15, maybe 20% down, depending on the lender and all these requirements. So I said, okay, what if you're putting 15% down? So you're putting in $15,000, and you're putting $50,000 into the repairs. This way, you're paying for that $50,000. This way, that $50,000 is coming from your lender. Interest and origination. I based this off of, I think, 3.5 points or something like that. So $17,000. So it's going to cost you $17,000 more to do it than it would if you're putting in your own, right? There's nothing in there. Same cost for property tax, same cost for selling it. You know, that's like you have to pay realtor commission and taxes and title and stuff like that when you sell. You sell it for $250 and you're putting in your own cash. You've got $152,000 into the deal. You're going to get $236,000 back from the sale, so you're going to make $83,500, which is a good amount of money, right? How long did it take you to get that? Average 6 to 12 months, we'll figure. Okay, if you're in this for a hard money loan, you're going to pay that extra $17,000, and you're going to get the loans for everything else. You're going to have a total of $34,900 something into the loan, and you're going to get $83,000 cash out. So your net profit is going to be $48,000. So it's less, right? But here's the thing. You've only got $35,000 into it. You can do 4 or 5 deals versus doing 1 with that same amount of money. So if I'm only making $50,000, but I do that 5 times, 4 times, that's, you know, $200K plus versus $83,000 for using your own. ROI is the big number that investors talk about. 55% ROI, which is good. 138% ROI. So the return on investment is the biggest reason. You can do it with your own money, you can make good money doing that, but you can make a lot more with somebody else's money. So that's why lenders like us exist. So how does it work? I've got to move through some of this kind of fast. We already talked about we can close quick. The money usually comes from private equity people. Ours are mostly our company founders, friends and family at this point. I know sometimes it's just a group of investors. You have to be accredited. Usually you put your money into a fund, people put their IRAs in the fund, the lender lends out the money in that fund. So that's where it comes from. The hard money lender is going to do a little work to screen the borrowers. They're going to evaluate the deal. That's another good reason to use a hard money lender, especially if you're starting out. Because if you're not sure if it's a good deal or not, you take it to a hard money lender. If it's not a good deal, they're not going to give you the money. Right? Natalie's agreeing right there, yes. So that's a good way to protect yourself as well. You're also kind of protecting yourself because instead of risking your whole $150,000, you're only risking that $40,000 in that example. They're going to give you the money, they're going to collect the monthly payments, service the loan, do all that stuff. The renovations, with a hard money loan, the way the money for the repairs work is usually you're expected to have a little bit of your own money to start the repairs. You do the first phase of your rehab, then you submit a request for a draw to the lender. So you say, okay, I just finished the kitchen and it cost me $8,000 and I did the roof and it was, how much was that roof we just put on that house? 8,000 right there. Okay, so there's, what did I say the kitchen was? 8, we'll say they're both 8. There's 16,000. You go to your lender, you show them pictures usually. Sometimes they might have to send an inspector out to take a look at it. But they're gonna say, okay, you spent 8,000, you did your kitchen, you did your roof, here's your 16,000. And then you take that 16,000 and use it to do the next stage. So maybe you're doing, redoing the bathrooms and the flooring and walls, whatever. You have that money to start that. When you finish that phase, you do a draw and get that money back. So that's how that works. So you do have to have the money to start. They are not going to give you all that repair money up front. And usually the payments are interest only while you're doing the project. So you have to make sure you're prepared for that. We already talked about the down payment. So when that lender is evaluating your property, they're going to look at what it's going to be worth after it's fixed up, not what it's worth now, like most, bank loans or whatever. They're going to give you the money for the purchase, or at least most of it. Usually they give you all of the money for the rehab, and it's based on that ARV. They're also going to consider the location. So when you're looking at a deal, a lot of lenders won't go to rural areas, or if they do, it's on a limited basis. So if you've got a property out in the middle of nowhere and there's no comps to back up that after repair value, it's likely you're going to have a hard time getting a loan for that property. So just kind of a consideration there. And then a lot of lenders are going to look at your experience. So it doesn't mean if it's your first time that they're not going to give you a loan. It just means that they might expect you to have a little bit more skin in the game, a little bit more cash down. They might lower that leverage if you don't have the experience. All right, rates and terms. First thing I mentioned, points. You're always going to pay origination points. A point is just a percentage of that total loan amount. So it's usually 1 to 4 points. Sometimes it could be higher if the lender thinks there's more risk in there. How am I doing on? Okay, thank you. 5. Okay. All right, there's also going to be some fees in the loan. So make sure you're prepared for that. Most of the time you're going to have to get an appraisal. Sometimes you can get by with a BPO, but for the most part, you're going to need an appraisal. Wire fees, legal fees, the same kind of stuff you're going to have buying a property anywhere else. Underwriting fees. And then you also, when you're shopping around for loans, you're going to want to ask about draw fees. How much is it going to cost you each time you take money back from that rehab? There may or may not be a monthly billing fee as well. So just kind of to prepare yourself for those kind of things. These are short-term. The interest rates vary. I know right now ours on a flip are 10.5 to 12. Like that. So yeah, and then what came out of the hard money was asset-based long-term loans. So maybe you buy that property, you fix it up, and you say, I don't want to sell this to somebody else, I want to just keep it and rent it out. So then you can refinance it into an asset-based long-term loan, also known sometimes as a DSCR loan. So DSCR stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. So basically what that means is we want to make sure that if we're going to lend you money to keep that rental property going, we want to make sure that the rent you're going to take in is going to cover your mortgage and the taxes and insurance and give you a little extra so that you can save it for when something breaks and you have to fix it. So that's what the DSCR, or debt service coverage ratio, is all about. So you can figure it out. It's the amount you're going to get divided by the total that you're paying for that debt, the loan payment, taxes, and insurance. So if you put those together, you're looking, yes,
Would you lend if it's exactly 0?
no. We won't lend below 1. We will lend if it's between 1 and 1.2. We'll lend it, but you might have to put a little bit more into it. Over 1.2, 1.3, you're golden, which means you're going to make good cash flow on that property as well as paying all the expenses and getting Getting the return when you sell it. yeah, 1. Yeah, I figured that was kind of where you were going. But yeah, we will lend if it's between 1 and 1.2, but like I said, it's lower. You're going to get lower leverage and probably pay a higher rate because there's more risk. That's what it comes down to with any of the loans. It comes down to how risky is it. If it's more risky, we're going to expect you to have more cash in the deal to minimize our risk.
Right now, what is the rate of the interest?
Right now, our long-term loans are 7.5 to 8.5 for the most part.
That's on the DSCR?
Yes, on the DSCR.
What's the range? The reason for the range? Is it the difference between 1 and 1.2?
Those rates are if it's at least 1.2 for the DSCR. It's going to be a little higher if it's less. If you're going to buy a new purchase and it's ready to go, we'll use market rents to figure that DSCR. If you're going to refinance that property, you need to get a lease in place before you can get that long-term DSCR loan on it. So just keep that in mind. They may not have to be living there, but you're going to have the lease in place. We're also going to ask you to prove that they paid you a deposit. So believe it or not, some people might actually just make up a lease agreement. Right? You're thinking, no, nobody would do that. Yeah, they've tried everything.
What's the loan to value?
Loan to value is we have some that go as high as 80%. More common is 70 to 75. Yes.
For the interest rate, now the finance is 7.5. So if you the payment rate, the interest is only how?
The interest only is on when you're doing the rehab. When you switch it to a DSCR loan, that's going to be a fully amortized, like a 30-year fully amortized loan. So you're going to be paying down the principal and the interest. Okay, so yeah, the bottom line is, make sure you know exactly what all those fees are that you're going to pay so that you can be prepared to pay them. But as they say in this business, it's not about what it costs you, it's about what you're going to make. So just remember that ROI. Yeah, you have to pay money, but you're going to make a lot more this way. Okay, I think I'm pretty much out of time, so I'm going to kind of skip my C's, my 6 C's. Loan application, I already said no tax forms. You're going to need insurance and the contract to prove you own it and all that stuff. The renovation budget, your driver's license, nothing major like that. So here's my information. I've also got cards over there on the table. Feel free, if you have any questions, to just give me a call, shoot me a text, and I'll be happy to help you out with anything I can.
Yeah, thank you, Becky. And right after this is the panelist discussion. So if you have a question, just hold on a little bit for a second, right? Sophie and Tu, can you help me to arrange, like the seat for, we need like 5 seats. If you, for a moment, can you like move over there a little bit? 'Cause I'm gonna invite our sponsor and coaches that we have here today to the stage. So we're gonna host the discussion. The first person I'm gonna invite is Marilyn Phipps. So Marilyn is one of our great partners, and she does, all kind of, real estate investments. No, you can sit here, Marilyn. Yes, so Marilyn, and yeah, she does all kind of like wholesaling, fix and flip, subject to, and she's very experienced, over about 15 years of experience.
Okay, just stand.
Oh, it's gonna be like 15, 20 minutes.
Oh,
for sure.
okay.
Yeah. So the second person I'm gonna invite on the stage is our sponsor, Tom. Okay, so Tom will be right back, and also, of course, Becky, if you can get on the stage again for question, Q&A. Our executive partner, Mr. John Huang, as well, will be in the panelist discussion.
Sure.
And Huang. Yes, Huang, and also Vincent.
Okay, let's mute this. Where's a mute?
Yes, sir.
There's no sound.
No. Put who's the presentation? Is this it?
This one.
This projector on this.
Yeah.
This one.
Okay, press
And
B.
Huang is a mindset
So good.
coach and also an investor himself. He's gonna help us to host the discussion. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it over to Huang. Vincent, you were gonna comment.
Oh.
And maybe if you don't mind to introduce a little bit of yourself, like 1 minute, so people get to know.
I guess I am going to start. My name is Marilyn Phipps, and I've been doing real estate investing for about 11 years. I started with wholesaling, and then after my first year wholesaling, I started flipping houses and buying and holding. And so I'm being in business for about 11 years, and I sell fixer-uppers, 3 to 5 deals a month.